this time. Not bad. Not bad. Let's put that window up so everyone can hear. It's not loud. Crazy. You're going to get backlit. I apologize. It's not the best lighting. No ring light to offset. You get what you get. You get what you get. You don't throw a fit. It's our motto. Friday. It's Friday Carversation on the way to work. Heading out 55 miles an hour down a long country road, middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. The world is lighting itself on fire. People are throwing gasoline on an already extremely volatile situation, and then playing with matches, dancing around it, and then complaining when they get burned. Right? There's always that. But it's hard to know where to sit with it all, because I mean, living out here, I live amongst, many different viewpoints. I live amongst people who are of all sides of the political spectrum, without labeling it, So it's difficult, but I'm trying to stay grounded in my own principles and trying to understand what I think about all this stuff, and not allowing it to control me one way or the other, because it's happening. People are getting a bit extreme on things that I think are sometimes misrepresented. I think that sometimes that are bad anyway, but I don't know. There's just a lot going on. I think a lot of people's angst and anger is largely based in the fact that they. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this. I don't know if that's going to fix it. Largely based on the fact that they spend so much time on their chosen social media platform. I think that hurts. I think that hurts the brain. It doesn't hurt the brain. It hurts. There's no pain involved. There's an actual hurt to it. It's detrimental to the growth and expansion of thought. Put it that way. And that's unfortunate, because I work amongst a bunch of fairly smart individuals, but I know a bunch, but they're controlled by one side or the other, And some people will say, "Oh, I'm gonna take a fairly even stance." But you tell it's certain things. It's just a hard line, and maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe that's them establishing and holding their values, those boundaries that they're not willing to give up. I do know that a lot of people out here are just really against. They're against the wealthy class, which is understandable to an extent, right? I'm not here to simp for the billionaire class, but we need the ability for them to exist, because without that, we withhold our own ceiling, right? They exist because the system allows for growth and exponential growth, and not everyone's doing well, but once you get into excuse me, hey, I want to get rid of that higher upper class, that billionaire class, then it's like, well, how much money is someone allowed to have? Or if they do have this much money, what do they have to do with it? And how is that meant to benefit other people, right? Because no one wants to give up their wealth or their home or anything. Hey, Avina. Happy Friday. It's actually my Tuesday. But yeah, you wonder like what is it that people, if you try and remove those rules or put like, hey, these people, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos, all those people, they have to do their share in order to contribute to the success of society. What does that mean? Sorry, what does that mean by and large for the people who are still below them? Yeah, they will. But does that truly hurt? Like, I guess the question is, does that hurt me, or does it hurt the middle class? Like, that's the question I need to, like, is the fact that they have so much negatively impacting me, my life? I don't think so. Like, I guess, like, the question is, could they be doing something more for me? I don't know. You're reading George Orwell's story of course. I can't. Or we're living in the beginning of the 20th century, right? Like we're so far from that, right? I feel like we're so far from that level of poverty. Down and Out in London, in Paris, earlier in his career. You should check it out. I mean, like, that's the thing. I've said to someone before, like, those people getting richer doesn't make me poorer. Like, there's not, like, we don't live in a fixed pie economy, right? Like, there's not like, here's all the money we have in the world, only these guys have it, right? There's always the potential to make more depending on what you're putting in. So I was having a discussion with him last night. It's like, he was like, oh, Jeff Bezos is an awful person. I'm like, is he an awful person, or is, the company, the company and how it's structured and what's happened over the past however many years, has he lost control of that, and that's what we figure is bad? Same thing with Elon Musk. He was like, well, it's more so now that, Elon Musk runs his mouth about politics and, with the Doge shit. And I was like, yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I'm like, Elon Musk is like essentially a meme, like he plays a meme. God, man, I'm trying to get this thing to stick to my windshield, and it's not fucking working. I'm also trying not to crash at the same time. No one likes seeing their tax money wasted. Like, that's one of the issues with, especially with like the Doge thing, is like, what people are wondering, like, well, was it a success? Doesn't seem like it from what I've seen other videos. People are taking more neutral perspective on like politics. They've explained that it's just, there hasn't been any like measurable like fraud, and if there has been, like, nobody's gotten in trouble for it. Like, they haven't like prosecuted anyone for fraud. No one's gone to jail over it. And like, I think I would understand too, like, I do understand in some degree that these things take time. Like, when it comes to like lawsuits and, prosecuting people, like, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I do get it to some extent. I think so many people are just focused on the wrong. God damn stick, will you? God, people they're so fixated on the wrong thing. Yeah, bogged down. Yeah. No, and that's the thing is like, you say like, oh well, no one's gone to jail for it. No one's been, found guilty of like fraud. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you'd see that, because that's one of the problems. Is like, you could gut all these federal agencies, but in the next 4 years, or like after Trump's presidency, the next president has all the authority to reinstate those positions that were taken out. Like, there's nothing to stop them. The idea was to show the overuse of executive power, to try and rein those in. All of those appointments to try and the system should be representative, not appointed by the executive branch. Freaking thing won't stay attached to the damn window. What's the point of having a suction cup fucking holder if it's not going to stay up? If it's not going to stay suctioned? Davina, I was reading your messages. I apologize if I didn't. Like, I was trying to get him out, but while driving, it's kind of difficult. So, right. No, 100%. I agree 100%. The problem is that you're not going to see probably measurable change within the 4 years that he's in the presidency. You might see some towards the end, and if we get a Republican president after this, you might see a bit of continuation. But the problem is Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats in abusing their power. They're not even like kind of innocent in the matter. It's they're both guilty as hell in how they operate. And it should surprise nobody that, like, I mean, again, like, even someone like J.D. Vance, he was so hardcore against Trump, and then to make the turn to liking him, like, I'm all for people changing their mind, but it's like, he had some pretty brutal tweets not 4 years ago, or 2016, 2019. They were not good. I want to say they're 2019 actually. Because people will just say what they need to say, and then once their party is in power, then they kind of like switch it up. Not great. Not a good look. But we now run in a Democrat run news cycle. So everything that is Republican red related is really, really bad. You can't trust it. Every level of government needs to be changed. Oh yeah, I've said this before, there needs to be a huge paradigm shift in government. And that's what people don't understand. Like, a huge paradigm shift within government and how it's run. On all levels, state, local, and federal levels, just need to change how they're run. But, again, revolutionaries, or people who claim to be revolutionaries right now, they have all They have all the like heart to tear down the system without any knowledge of how to build this, to rebuild the system. And that's one of the problems, I think, that a lot of like people like me, or like, you know, the more libertarian side of things, will sit back and be like, well, what does that mean to, like, what do you mean you want to dismantle this? What do you mean you want to take this down? What do you have to replace it? And not just what do you have to replace it, but how is it that you will implement it? So it's like, it's very, yeah, like all, yeah, a lot of the, you know, these bills and everything that get put forth in Congress, they're stuffed full of bullshit. And it's like, I keep telling, like, watching state and federal government right now reminds me so much of like how like back of the house and front of the house operations are run in a restaurant. You have a bunch of guys who, like, you know, the front of the house is like your presidency, your executive like branch and all that, and you know, your federal level government. Your back of the house stuff is all like your state run governments. And right now we have like the back of the house guys who think they're doing it well, right, in Minnesota, and they're not communicating. But like behind closed doors, you know, there's this quote released about how Trump like had a call with Tim Walz, and it went well, and they want the similar goals, and they, you know, all Trump is asking for is like the criminals who have been apprehended, you know, to be, you know, handed over to ICE. But that stuff's not like widely reported when it comes to like liberal news. That message is not being put out there and talked about. Like, oh, they're kind of diplomatic about this. But I do think Trump's responsibility to assuage this this angst in Minnesota. Like he needs to, and Tom, you know, and Homan needs to go there and figure out how to wrangle in some of these ICE agents. Even if that means like they gotta pull their mask down. Hey guys, if you're an ICE agent, you need to pull your mask down. Just show your face. Like, you're a federal agent, there should be no issue with it. You have a badge number that's, you know, visible. These people, if they're like, ultimately, if these people take that is on them. In more trouble revealing, you know, the identity of, you know, federal agents and all that stuff. I don't know. But something needs to happen where they're not just like beating everyone that are getting in their way. And it's not everyone. I shouldn't say everyone. Not everybody's getting beaten senseless. Again, the biggest problem with so much of this shit is like social media. And I talked to my mom about this the other day. Social media makes it think like this is happening every day to every single person. But